XM MLB Network Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, now singing the Mike Ferrin Open, it's Mike Stibbs.
Just make sure it sounds sexy, Stibbs.
Lord Almighty, how can you stand Arizona? Your fair skin must be burning down into your absent soul. Mike, 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 we can barely hear you. It sounds to me like you called us from inside a hole. But your phone calls lift me higher, like the ERA of a prior. Your hair looks like it's on fire. You're Mike Ferrin.
There he is.
Just a hunk of burning.
The great Mike Ferrin. Yes, sir.
May I pose a question?
You may.
Very important one.
You may.
Josh, did you participate in the Josh fight in Lincoln?
No, I didn't.
Whip!
Coward.
So I didn't realize that it was going to.
Oh, yeah. What, did you not get the Josh memo? Come
Well,
on.
I got tagged in all these tweets, but I realized 1,000 people were going to show up, or else I would have gone just for the story.
You wanted to beat the hell out of that 5-year-old.
Yeah,
My
I would have kicked
son.
that kid's ass.
My son went. I mean, and he's not even a
He's
Josh.
not even named Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the 21-year-old son?
Well, yeah.
Oh, I know what
Yeah.
he was doing and why he wanted to show up. Am I right there, Stibbs?
What, to fight with a pool noodle?
No.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, if that's what they call it.
Sure.
There's a nice most of those pool noodles have a hole that goes through all the way that would work as a nice like
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
utensil.
Oh, yeah.
you guys are weird.
Nah.
No, Josh chickened out. He's
Sad.
I had other things going on.
I mean, I figure next year, if they're going to do it again, right, you're going to have to do the show from there. Like, is there a more famous
Probably.
Josh in the state of Nebraska right now than you are?
Definitely.
Dotzler?
Mm,
Josh Dotzler's more famous. than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, then that's even more fitting. The second most famous Josh in Nebraska will not MC the Josh fight. Sorry, we couldn't get the most famous one.
But we got the second most famous one. So I told you going into the break that something happened last night that hasn't happened in nearly 100
I love
years.
these stats with baseball. They're the best.
Shohei Ohtani, who many people just call by his last name, was the first
What is
player
his first name?
in 100 years to start a game on the mound while also entering the day leading the major leagues in home runs.
Wow.
And of course, the last person to do it was Babe
George
Ruth.
Herman Ruth?
Yes.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I did not realize that Ruth actually pitched for the Yankees, but he did. He started on June 13th, 1921. And at that time, he was also leading the league with 19 home runs.
So, and he made about, I want to say something like a half dozen appearances on the mound total after that in his career. But yeah, I mean, if you go back to 1918, even, I mean, it was, he was as much a pitcher as he was a hitter, you know. And
He started in the World Series, yeah.
yeah, I mean, in fact, I think he threw, what was it? I want to say he threw a shutout in maybe the clinching game. I can't remember. Yeah, John, that was your favorite Cubs team, I know. So you would probably remember exactly what happened when they threw the 1918 World
They
Series.
didn't throw it.
He was there.
I was not there.
He was the bat boy.
Here you go, sir. Here's your bat.
How about that?
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
show it.
This is sure is heavy. You guys use these really heavy bats. You know, have you thought about drilling a hole in the end of them?
Okay, Sporto.
Well, of course, we wrapped up the last weekend with another thrilling Padres-Dodgers series. Now, for the first 7 games, they won't play for a little while. Padres took 4. Dodgers took 3. Do you think is it too early to say the statement was made?
Yeah, I mean, they're not handing out rings for the April World Series, so
They're not?
no, I don't think a statement was made. I mean, I think we knew coming in that these were probably the 2 best teams in the league, and I think to this point they've pretty much proven it. I mean, the Dodgers have hit a little bit of a rough patch here, losing 6 of 8, and part of it's because they're dealing with injuries. But yeah, I mean, I think it's too early to say that it's a statement. Of course, I mean, it's April 27th today. Like, there's, you know, we played an 1/8 of the season. They're not going to meet again for another 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I think it's like the end of June. That's way too early to start calling a statement. I mean, the standings could look a lot different in another 2 months than they are now.
Mike, all that aside, when's the last time that a season series this early got people like this excited and so many people were talking about it? I was thinking about it last night. I can't remember an early season series like this getting this much run in conversation since like some of those Red Sox Yankees ones like 15 years ago. And so I thought that was pretty cool. You know how I feel about baseball, but even I was like, I got to check out some of this, this season this early. And I think that that's pretty unique.
Yes, it's very clear that you have no taste in sports. I mean, I think that that's probably right. Like 2004, probably with the Red Sox Yankees series early in the season. I think that was probably the last time that there was that kind of significant buzz for a divisional series. Yeah. And, that lasted a good decade almost, with the runs of head-to-heads before everybody really started to tire of it. So I think that's probably a good call that you have to go back. That's what 2004 is, 17 years ago. I mean, it just doesn't happen very often. And the fact that they're going to meet 19 times is pretty spectacular.
Baseball guy.
The Royals are 14-7.
They sure are.
The Giants are 15-8. The Red Sox are 14-9. You've got the hot starts. It was a cold start followed by a very hot run by the A's. Mariners are still doing well. Which of the teams that have had these surprising starts you think has the most staying power?
Oakland, I think. Sorry, Stibbs. I really think the A's are a good. You don't know where that finger's been. Actually, you do. We don't.
Yeah, we don't. I don't want to know.
I take that back. We all know where that finger's been, and that's where the real issue is. I think probably Oakland. I mean, that's the one to me that I think was the best of those teams coming into the season. I think the A's are I think they're a legit playoff team. I mean, I think they're, the defending AL West champs. I think they're really good, even with a couple of the losses that they've had, like losing Semien and Hendricks. It's still a strong rotation. The lineup will continue to get better as the year goes on. So I would put Oakland in that mix. San Francisco's better than people realize. I don't know that they're this good, but they can really pitch. And Posey is off to an incredible start. I mean, it's the best Buster Posey has looked in, and I don't think this is hyperbolic to say 5 years, maybe 6. I mean, he really looks great, and he and Longoria have turned back the clock in April. Now, can that last? We'll see. I think that they'll do a good job of mixing and matching offensive parts, but I think they're a better team than people realize. Kind of in the same way that the Royals are, different fashion. I mean, the Giants are still very much transitioning out of this older group that was competitive for much of the last decade, whereas the Royals are just kind of opening the window of contention. And I don't think that they're going to end up finishing at the top of the division, but they are just a really fun team, and they can pitch a little bit, and they can run, and they can do a lot of different things. So I'm in on the Royals long term, maybe not as much for 2021, but I think that that's definitely a step in the right direction. I think you're going to see them trending positive. And of those teams, like if you're looking for a surprise team in 2021, I think the Royals have a very good chance to be that.
Mike, kind of a question along the lines of what you just talked about, and also the joke you made a couple of minutes ago about, a World Series trophy in April. Not the finger one, the April trophy one. Because it was from the show, actually, that I missed a few weeks ago. But I had a quote written down from Lindsay Adler, and you had quote tweeted it, where she said the most annoying, and she covers the Yankees for The Athletic. She said the most annoying thing about the start of a new regular season is the wait for meaningful sample sizes on player and team production. My benchmark is 4 to 6 weeks. Getting wrapped up in who is 1 for 10 to start the season or has a bad outing is a waste of energy, in my opinion. You agreed. You said preach. So what do you, or what can we all take away from this early part of the season where we do want to have these overreactions and hot takes, and the Padres Dodgers is a preview of October? What do you try to take away from this early part, as you know that it's such a small sample size?
Well, I think you search for confirmation bias, right? So you search for statistical answers that back up what you thought you knew coming into it, which is probably not really healthy, but that's part of what you do. And I think you watch for injuries, and you watch for trends, and you watch to see, whether or not lineups look the same as you thought, or bullpens look the same as you thought, where trouble spots can be, because she's right. Like, there really isn't a meaningful sample. If you think 6 weeks into the season, I mean, we're talking a quarter of the year, that's really the first barometer where I start looking at the standings. But you'll watch little trend lines. You'll see who is swinging the bat well. You see whether or not somebody has made, starting right around now, a significant change in approach, like they've cut down their strikeouts, or like in the case of Acuna, he's chasing outside the strike zone a lot less than he has in the past. You see a big tick up in walk rate. That stuff tends to normalize a little quicker than some of the other stats. And so I might keep an eye on walk and strikeout rates right now. And then, I'll start to use some of the advanced metrics, like, what will get really nerdy here, like expected weighted on base average or fielding independent pitching, which are, at least in case of fielding independent pitching, is a better ERA predictor than ERA is, and trying to match that up with the numbers to see, whether or not something is as good as bad or as it looks. Like, a good example of that is the Twins. The Twins bullpen ERA is really bad right now, but the peripherals are pretty strong, which show that, they're probably having issues with command. And that's something that can get ironed out over the course of the year. And their true talent level is probably closer to, like a 11th or 12th best bullpen in Major League Baseball instead of the 24th or 25th.
And 6 of their losses have been by a run so far this season. So it's been close.
0-5 in extra innings and 0-4 in double headers. How about that?
That's crazy.
Like, they're basically like the anti-Rob Manfred team.
I see what you did there. The Brewers are still leading the Central, but Christian
Trying to
Yelich,
suck up to the boss right now?
No.
Okay.
Never. But Yelich still has the back issues. There's a chance he might be back this week, but, with the back, it's always a touchy situation. How concerning is it? And can Milwaukee still maintain pace if Yelich misses a significant amount of time?
Yeah, it's a good question. And Joe Girardi dropped a good line on us a couple of weeks ago where he said, once you're a back patient, you're always a back patient, which is actually pretty true. Somebody who just moved a bunch of furniture around his office, I agree. If I look like I moved around a bunch of furniture, or more so than usual, that's absolutely the case. I'm a little sweaty, more than usual. But I think, I think it's a concern. Especially since he wasn't off to a great start, and his 60-game sample last year wasn't particularly good. He's a really important piece for them. They're not a great offensive team without him, and especially without him and Kane. And with the way Keston Hiura has swung and missed to this point this year, that's got to be a major concern. So I think they need to get him back. He can't miss an extended period of time. But that said, they can really pitch, and their 1-2 punch of Woodruff and Burns is about as good as anybody in the majors, or better than just about anybody in the majors. And they have a lot of depth there, and they have a very good bullpen. So, run prevention is going to be a real key for the Brewers. They're never going to be, a top 5 offense, at least with this current group. So can you play to the middle of the pack offensively and get really good pitching? Well, that's a good recipe for success in that division.
Mike, you, as it says, you are involved with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I am.
He threw a no-hitter recently, but it's not going to count as a no-hitter. Do you care about this controversy or faux controversy at all?
Well, I cared about it Sunday when I was doing the game because I didn't know how to react.
What to say at the end of it?
Seriously, I still have a lot of anxiety about it because I don't know, I didn't know what to do with my hands. I went full Ricky Bobby on it, right? The girl ran good, it was, so yeah, I guess, generally I don't care about controversies. This one's a little bit more personal. Listen, Bumgarner threw a hell of a game. It was legit. There was no hard contact. It's the best he's thrown in a Diamondbacks uniform. It was incredibly encouraging. His stuff had ticked up in his previous start, but he was kind of all over the place. He was effectively wild. That wasn't the case on Sunday. He was just damn great. I think John Thorne, who's the Major League Baseball historian, had a really interesting notion that because the game was regularly scheduled for 7 innings, that it probably makes it easier to consider it a no-hitter. It was played to its completion, unlike the ones that were expunged from the record books years ago. And in the process, when they did that, they expunged a couple of no-hit losses. So there was the famous one was Andy Hawkins in 1990 when he had a no-hitter at Comiskey Park and lost to the White Sox 4-0. Go look up the box score of that. That was a spectacular game.
It was.
And Matt Young had one of those. I think he lost 2-1 in '92 in a no hitter, on the road, but he only went 8.5 innings, and so it didn't count. So I would think that at some point they might want to relook at those, but as of right now, I have a feeling that it'll probably get swept under the rug when the next controversy comes along, which it's been 48 hours, so there's got to be something controversial coming, right? Like somebody's going to get all upset about something now.
Well, as someone who has called a 7-inning no-hitter, I just count it and just it's just like, you know what?
Well, in college, I mean, like it's the only reason why I was hesitant to call it a no-hitter is because the league says it's not one. Right. And Elias says it isn't. And so you want to be accurate in that regard. And we got a warm up in game 1 of that doubleheader too, because Zach Gallen didn't allow a hit to the 6th. He threw a 1-hitter. So
you already about it.
Yeah, but let's just Bumgarner was great, and if they want to change it to a no-hitter, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either. I mean, there's enough. Listen, if we can count the game,
I was going to say, if you decide to make it this rule,
if we can count the game, if you can, count extra inning games as wins when a guy starts at second base, then why can't? These are the rules you're playing by.
Yeah,
right. These are the rules.
Right. Off of that.
We haven't changed all the offensive numbers because the American League's had a DH for almost 50 years.
Here's the other thing is okay, so they went through this statistical accuracy committee in 1991 that took away all these range shortened no hitters, but those games were played to completion, right? It's like 35 games that they got rid of, and I don't know that that's necessarily right either. Like, well, all of a sudden it needs to be 9 innings. Well, it hadn't been to that point. You changed the rule. Yep. You changed on what is historically accurate, and now Elias can drag their feet all they want on it, and I can roll my eyes at Elias because I do a lot. But it probably should be counted as a no hitter, I think, but it won't. I don't know. It's not something that I'm willing to lose a ton of sleep over, but It would nice to see the recognition, even with the understanding that it wasn't a 9-inning game. Tim Brown said no hitter (parentheses 7). Well, ta-da! Like it's there. That's not even an asterisk. It's just accurate.
Did anyone get a hit?
No.
No one got a hit, Stibbs.
What's it called?
A no-hitter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Literalist Stibbs here with us today.
We did have somebody suggest to one of our hosts in the afternoon that it was cancel culture to allow a 7-inning no-hitter. He said these nobodies don't understand. This is the cancel culture of when actually MLB canceled a bunch of no-hitters 30 years ago, and the nobodies were a former all-star closer and a 7-year big leaguer. So those nobodies wouldn't know anything about it.
How many 9-inning no-hitters did that guy have?
Well, he had a lot when he was playing out in the backyard, against the garage.
Oh, yeah.
There is one team in the National League West that isn't playing well, and now they're looking for a new general manager. I assume you saw the passing commentary today on Dick Monfort, the Rockies owner, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't get a chance to read all of Jeff's article because it came out when we were on the air. But
let me read the first 2 paragraphs from the story. It says Dick Monfort, whose family made its fortune in the cattle business, knows more about BS than anyone in baseball. Get it?
Oh, I get it.
Oh, I get it.
Decades, Monfort has been peddling a particular kind to the fans of the Colorado Rockies, the team he owns and runs. It goes something like this: the Rockies, under the stewardship of Monfort, want to win, and then it just goes on from there.
So I think the Nick Grokey's article in The Athletic yesterday really highlighted a lot of the issues in this. I mean, it was a mutual decision, it sounds like, that Jeff Bridich was fired. That mutual parting of ways generally means that, we don't want to say we fired you, but we're going to pay you severance. So, great. So, and listen, Bridich did not do a great job. I mean, there were some things that he did really well. Like he acquired Herman Marquez in a trade that was kind of unheralded, and that guy is really, really good. And like they drafted John Gray on his watch. John Gray is pretty good. Like they had a fair amount of successes, and he built a successful pitching staff there, but spent a lot of really bad money in free agency and managed to alienate Nolan Arenado and not fix it. So it probably was time for a change. But as part of this move, the Rockies named, who is Greg Fields, their new president, who is their business guy, who is Monfort's right-hand man. And Grokey had written an article about 6 weeks ago talking about the dysfunction on the Rockies front office, where one person derogatorily said that Dick Monfort thinks he's Theo Epstein. And it really does read like a consolidation of power on Blake Street, in that rather than going outside the organization and looking for new thoughts, which is really what the Rockies have not done. They've only had 3 general managers in their franchise history, and the last one they hired from the outside was Dan O'Dowd 20 years ago. That they are more interested in creating this insular front office, at least that's the feel of it, where you get the sense that the emperor has no clothes, or at least the emperor wants to think that he doesn't, that they don't know that he has no clothes, or doesn't appear to have no clothes. And that's where the issue is, I think, more than anything. They could always change course and go and hire somebody from the outside and hire somebody really smart. Now, I will happily eat crow, but it doesn't seem like it's trending in that direction right now.
Well, we started with an Angels stat. We will end with an Angels stat. For those of you wondering if Mike Trout still isn't the best player in baseball, he currently leads the on-base percentage category by 62 points over the Mets' Brandon Nimmo.
It's a lot of runs.
And he leads the slugging percentage by 56 points over Ronald Acuna. And, of course, the on-base percentage and slugging put together is that magical OPS. Mike Trout's still doing Mike Trout things.
So he's really good. Guy misses 3 games, comes back, has 4 hits last night. And he's not even the star of the game.
Yeah, it's Ohtani.
And Pujols homered again. Albert's having a big April. Like this is great. If this is Albert's swan song, wouldn't it be awesome to see him actually have a really great year? For all the joy he brought you over the years, John.
Yeah. I don't want to hear about it. Get out of here. Pujols. Bad. How many home runs do you have, by the way?
667 now, I think.
Oh, man.
Well,
John could have made a Satan joke.
Sucks.
I could have.
Mm-hmm.
Just missed.
But he doesn't play for the Cardinals anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, fun conversation as always. Thank you, Mike. Nice hat.
Yes. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's sweaty. You can see because
I noticed.
Oh, look at gray is a good color on you.
So do you get some new furniture? Or are you moving out?
I got a new credenza. You want to see?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
What is that, an Xbox?
Is that a PS5?
No, that's the PS5. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Not to brag.
What are you playing the show?
It's
I got a copy of it. No thanks to you, Mike. Don't worry. I'm good.
It's about time that you actually paid for something, Stibbs. The Stadium Creator is going to be a lot of fun when I have like 6 hours to delve into it.
I didn't even know that they had that.
On the PS5, it does. Yeah.
Oh,
they do.
Oh, wow. Off-brand Xbox user over there.
What has to be something incorporated into your stadium?
Well, I like the extremes. So mine would be probably tiny park at altitude, or giant park at sea level. I had the Earl Weaver baseball games for the computer when I was growing up, and Earl Weaver Baseball 2 had a Stadium Creator. And one of the teams I made was, I think it was in Las Vegas, and it had the smallest dimensions it possibly could in a dome stadium, and Lloyd McClendon hit 71 home runs that year.
Lloyd McClendon.
It was awesome.
Now, not to delve too much into politics here, Mike, but can you build a wall in the outfield? Could you do a green monster that goes?
Yeah, you can go 40 feet high.
Build that wall.
And there are some desert landscapes available to you, so you really could feel like.
Now, that would be one heck of a gig if you could build a stadium right on the border and the outfield wall.
Sadly, they haven't made it real, where you have to do shady backroom politicking to be able to build your stick the taxpayers at the bill, right? Yeah, so it's going to add a whole lot to the economy locally, right? You don't have to.
We're putting
just stump
all around.
That would really make it realistic. Oh, come on, it didn't make it into MLB.
Oh, so sorry. All right, well, we'll let you get to it then. You can play before the game tonight, and
I couldn't finish putting stuff away in my office.
Oh. Well, there he is. He took time out of his busy schedule moving stuff around to play with us today.
Just practicing for my next career. I'll see you later.
All right, we'll see you. There he is. Mike Ferrin, everyone, from Sirius XM MLB Network Radio.
Hippie1999 on the YouTube page says, I'm never thinking of pool noodles the same way after Stibbs described how to make them into a bong.
I mean, I didn't really describe. I wouldn't know how to do that,
Yeah.
but I just noticed the dimensions could work in the favor of someone who may. Now the foam could cause issues because that would melt, but I'm sure you can make it. Someone could make it work.
By the way, speaking of bongs, got an email for Dumb Debates tomorrow involving
Bong related.
Yeah, and a local politician
Oh,
turning this person into a bong. We'll save that for tomorrow. For Dumb Debates from Thomas.
Oh, so Stibbs has decided to run for the marijuana free now party.
No, it's your son who's doing that. Remember?
Gubernatorial. No, he's not old enough.
Oh, that's right. We figured
Have to be 30.
he'll be my intern.
that.
I'm sure he'd have a great time. You can join Gary Sharp and the Gary Sharp Show live from Warner Park on Wednesday, May 5th. That is a week from tomorrow for the Storm Chasers matchup against St. Paul. Baseball is back, folks, at Warner Park. Next Wednesday, May 5, right here, Warner Park. Be there, 1620, The Zone.
Gary,